Hello, everyone. It is Monday, the 16th of October, 2023, and I've been rushed all day, so getting my video out a lot later, many hours later than usual, but I was still up very early, and I just had a lot to do and meetings and discussions and research and life. And so I shared this morning, though, quite a bit of information again that just shows proof essentially of what I've been calling out now for the last several years publicly, right? But stuff that was obviously within my community, within my organizations, and in multiple discussions and training pieces and stuff like that prior to. It's just that since the the pandemic, um, I have felt more compelled to speak out about this stuff publicly, like I've said before, many videos, because people that I was working with in and around who were people that could, in fact, impact a lot of change within Canada and internationally, they were refusing to take a look at the information that I was sharing. I was getting labeled as a someone that was spreading misinformation. Like I was getting my videos removed, content deleted, reported, and with like those little friggin' tags or warnings that said that saying like, oh, don't follow her, like she like has repeatedly shared like misinformation, and yet there's people that are mainstream media that I've been calling out now for years. They're still the ones that are being publicly funded and duping us into going into multiple wars. But the people that are calling this stuff out, like I'm not the one that's causing this, creating this Hegelian dialect or Hegelian dialect, however you want to pronounce it, or creating the chaos and then creating the solution, or creating the solution to, or creating Universe 25. I'm calling it out, and I'm getting vilified and character assassinated and investigated and all of this stuff, just like Helen Bruce, for speaking out on things that need to be addressed, right? So if there was more people within Europe that were speaking out against the fucking Nazis, okay, there would be less atrocities that were committed. And I'm just gonna take a drink. Sorry. Um, so even this weekend, like for Thanksgiving, political conversations did come up. We were delayed in our Thanksgiving dinner because not everyone could make it during the actual Thanksgiving, which was 2 weekends ago. But so everyone came together, and of course, I went to get back to see my family, who I love dearly. But there are people, there's extended family there too, and like cousins, like, everything, right? So you're not going to get people like anywhere that has like the same opinions and viewpoints or whatever as everyone else, which makes life very interesting. But people, were saying, that there were 6 million Jews that were killed in Germany, and I'm trying to correct people saying that that's not true. There were actually, again, if you look at the Holocaust records and actually have studied these wars pre friggin' a week ago or 2 weeks ago, then you would understand more of the of what's gone on in Europe. And I have shared so many freaking videos of this, right, where the majority of the atrocities were committed in the other European countries, right, Ukraine, Hungary, Denmark, like these areas. And so like even like upwards of like a 500,000 people getting executed in Austria, as well. And these were communist socialist countries, right? So that's why people don't want to talk about it. They want to talk about the one country that was painted as a right-wing country, yet it was a socialist communist country with Adolf Hitler. And then when they aligned with the other parties, they were considered a right-wing extremist organization. But ladies and gentlemen, like the Nazis were all over Europe. There were a lot of Nazis in Europe. Okay. And so you should also be looking at the countries that committed the most atrocities against Jews and people of color. And by the way, yes, there are people of color that are Jews. I'm trying to give examples and representations of different groups and how they've been classified to certain other groups of people, right? And then homosexuals were also attacked. Um, and then but again, this being a class war, right? So a lot of people within Europe, regardless of what they looked like or what their religion was or anything like that, if they were wealthier, they fled Europe and completely avoided things, or they went into areas within Europe that were safer for them, no matter what religion they were or whatever, or they went to Canada, or they went to the US, or they went to South America, or they went to like so many different other areas. And because they could afford it. And just like what's happening within Canada too, there's a lot of people that I know personally that were and are like middle to upper class, and they're now living in other countries because they know that Canada is falling. But also by doing that, they're also causing Canada to further implode because they're not staying and holding the line and speaking out within Canada against the censorship and against like all of this stuff that's going on. and instead just leaving it to the people that can't leave, right? Or the people that won't leave because we're trying to help from within, even though we know that like throughout history as well, like once we start to collapse further and further, the people that try to speak out on the atrocities that are being committed by people, that are unfortunately like in all levels of government and corporations, like we're the ones that are getting that essentially get persecuted and then also executed and things like that, which is appalling that we're still not learning from friggin' history with with those lessons, that anyone that was seen as a dissident or that was speaking out against Nazis, like slaughtering millions of people, anyone that was speaking out against that, like maybe not drive them there, maybe not build that, maybe not put that there, like maybe not do this to people, maybe like anyone that was saying this, they were the ones again that were seen as the like they were, a fringe minority. I don't know what we would want to call it, but they were the ones that were executed, and we're unfortunately starting to get at that level within Canada too. And but yeah, so like almost 2 years ago, I literally was calling out the Freedom Convoy before it came. I called out the Russia-Ukraine war for what it was because they were already talking about escalations, in the bordering regions, and like especially with NATO and stuff like that. And people are so ignorant to think that it was just like a Russian invasion that is what incited this war to begin with. And again, there was also lies that were told on in like from people in Ukraine, and people also fired for being corrupt and taking money and bribes and stuff like that. Like even like not even a year ago, and having to step down and resign and stuff like that because of this. And I can go on so many tangents of what's going on. It's exhausting. And I even said in my videos too that there was going to be like the biggest thing that would like first it would involve Europe. Very typical because even with World War I, World War II, like it started with that stuff. And yeah, and so like we're just doing the same script. I'm going on all these tangents, but maybe I'll just stop talking for a bit and share like more videos on what's going on with Israel and Palestine and Hamas. So here's so Lex Fridman is someone also that I have tried to get on his show.
Listen,
where I actually like reached out to him, and he didn't acknowledge or didn't acknowledge me at all. And I think I was trying to tag him in like maybe like flat Earth or January 6th being staged and planned, or like 9/11. But like anyway, like I don't know if he like would block me. I have no idea. I gotta check this stuff out. But this is what happens, right? When people that are actually trying to share proof of what's going on with the reality of the world to people that are actually controlled opposition, whether they know it or not. Lex Fridman, you're controlled opposition. like I don't know. It's frustrating because like I'm not the guest that like he's gonna have on. I don't know. Like and it's because again I would expose a lot of the stuff that he thinks is the reality of the world, right? Because he's also like best friends with Elon Musk, like and all these people. Like so SpaceX, he pushes and like he talks about he thinks he's super smart because like physics and chemistry and stuff like that. Well, you don't even know the reality of the world, right? Because it's a flat plate of inertia. That it's electromagnetic in nature assimilation, and so there you go, Lex Fridman. So with all your vast amounts of like accolades and stuff like that, and the guests you've had on, like you actually don't actually put on the guests that would actually make more of an impact to the world or the viewers. Because then they would be getting the actual reality of the world and not your fucking paid propaganda. Same thing with Alex Jones and Joe Rogan and these people. I would love to go on their show. I've offered to go on their show. I've contacted their media teams and their publishers or their whatever you want to call it, Jordan Peterson as well. And it doesn't go anywhere, right? Anyway, it is what it is. They'll put on people like Trevor Valle. Like, are you friggin' kidding me? They'll put on Neil deGrasse, like the worst people. Anyway,
you have to know something.
Palestine. Sorry. So Lex Fridman. Anyways, like he went to Palestine. He went to the West Bank specifically, and he talked to some Palestinians. And this was 2 months ago. So before what just happened, and so again, it would also make you question why would he go before this? And
yeah, everybody here, any human being in this area on all the world, not against peace. Everybody like life. Even Hamas in Gaza, they like life. They like peace. But peace, not like what you want. Lot of sir. If I want to buy something from you, if I create for your price and I am happy for your things, I will buy it. So our situation here, what's going with the Israeli, we are not against of Israel as people Jewish. We are against of occupation. If you remember what's happened with Russia and Ukraine, look, 1 year Russia, they have a problem and they're afraid from NATO come close to, they going inside Ukraine. All the world and all the arming of the world against of Russia. How come I am refugee in my land? Why I'm lost my house? Did I make something for Israel? Did my Hitler was my cousin? Did I make anything for the Jewish in the world? Me and my family and the Palestinian.
Do you have hope for peace?
My age is 50.
So to be clear, like he's saying literally his house and stuff like that, like this development, this mass migration happened in the late 1940s, mid to late 1940s.
50 years. I have 7 kids. No hope. If I told I have hope, I'm Job. And if you want to say the truth, there is no justice in the world. If you are strong, everybody afraid from you. If you are not, everybody kill you. They make you like this by your foot.
If you're strong, no one messes with you, is what this guy's saying. And if you're weak, people are going to squash you. Predators are going to squash you. So Canada, we're being seen more and more as a weak, very weak country on an international forum, okay? And this is allowing for predators to come at our fucking doorstep right now, ladies and gentlemen. And this is the stuff I've been talking about for literally years. I just shared, again, with my whiteboard what I was even predicting even then. And even these people within cabinet, I was emailing them this stuff as well. And no acknowledgements whatsoever. And if people want to wait until they're in to impact change, okay, that's like me waiting, until the day that I'm a freaking prime minister before I share any of this information or try to push this stuff to my networks and stuff like that and build course packages on this, build PowerPoint presentations and stuff like that, and risk character assassination and stuff like that, and still again getting ostracized at the lowest levels to get this information out.
That's what's happened. There is no peace, my friend. If you want to see the peace, come to our camp where I live. You will cry. You will cry. You see our peace.
What are the conditions like in the camp?
My friend, they're waiting for water. Water, you know what's been water?
Yeah.
In Europe, the dog, he lived in good condition. Dog, animals. How come a human being don't have water to drink?
I asked you about anger. What about love? You got love in your heart?
Well, I love everybody, even the Jews. They kill us. They destroy our houses. I'm not looking to fight. I'm not looking to kill. I am against the violence. We love your kids to live in good condition, the Israeli side and the Palestinian. We are against the violence. We don't want to see more blood. We want to destroy this wall. You come to me, I come to you. That's it. That's my hope.
Thank you, my brother.
The
Thank you.
English not so
No,
nice.
that's pretty good.
Hola, Colombia, arriba Colombia. Me gusta Colombia. ¿Cómo está? ¿Todo bien?
Hello, friends. I recently traveled to the West Bank and spoke with many Palestinian people there from all walks of life. There was anger and there was hope in their voice, in their eyes, in their stories, in ways that
So I think a lot of people would be surprised to see a Palestinian who's a Christian.
Yes.
Is there a tension in that?
Yes,
Can you explain
yes.
what it's like to be you?
Yes, it's actually because I've been to America, and once when I was there and I said that I'm Palestinian Christians, and they, how come you are Palestinian Christians? They don't know that in Palestine there are Christian people. Palestinian Christians exist since Jesus was born. The house that I live in, it's 200 years old, and it was my grandfather who lived in this, and my grandfather and my father and me in the same house. In this area, in Palestine especially, you can see Christians and Muslims together, living side by side, and as neighbors. As we go to the universities together, we work together, we do everything together.
What aspects of life is made difficult here because of the tension between Israel and Palestine?
Yes, actually, since Jesus was born, it was occupied by many. Till now, occupation after occupations. We passed Palestine through the Turkish, the British, Egyptian, Jordanian, and that was the last is the Israeli.
So there's quite a bit of tension between the various religions here.
Yes.
What gives you hope for the future?
That's right, yes, because, Christianity, Muslims, and Judaism, and which means that all praise the Lord. This makes me feel very happy, because I'm not a judge to judge the other religions. I'm just praying, and God will judge everyone as what he believes. But the most important thing between the three major religions is just to have, most important, to have love.
First of all,
Oh, I'm gonna keep on playing this video out, and I'm sorry that I keep on going on all these tangents. But like even within like Judaism and Islam and Christianity, there's always been like conflict when people take things to the extreme with their interpretations of these religious contexts or ideologies. I mean, when there are also other occult groups that are also possibly older, that are also the ones that possibly develop these religions in order to control the masses. You never know. Or it could be like these Bibles that say, like even Galatians 4:24, like the Bible should be taken as an allegory. And like I've shared and proven with it, like if you look at astronomy and understand like the movement of the sun and the moon and the luminaries, then you see that this is a flat plane on Earth, like the dome above. And I'm going on all these tangents. Sorry, it's just been again a busy morning. I'll just keep playing this out because I lost my train of thought.
How long have you lived here?
My father was second generation refugee.
Oh yes, that's where I was going with it. But even within Judaism, and if you look at the Talmud, if you actually get familiar with it, yeah, there's a lot of things in there that are being interpreted and could very justifiably and rightfully, there's strong arguments for how they're being interpreted, that it promotes like abuse against children, even under the age of 3. And there's very like and the reasonings for it, people are trying to say like, oh, it's like it's not meant to be interpreted as such, but it's literal, translations. And this is really uncomfortable to say, but so again, like I'm not slamming religions. Like I think there's a lot of good to religions, but I do believe that they are all deciphering or interpreting astronomy. And so like even with Jesus, some people believe it's God. Like I do believe that the Jesus, Mithras, Dionysus, Krishna, like these beings, like Osiris, like Horus, they represent the sun, right? And it's a ecliptical path that it takes. I've shared videos on this stuff, and that the moon represents like Mary or the Madonna or Isis, and it's very clear. And Lucifer, being the morning star or the evening star, which is Venus. And like so many like there's so many allegories, like there's so much symbolism within all these different religious texts that share like astronomy. And so in Judaism, they're allowed to lie and deceive other religions because and like there's even like within again like even within within our organization as well. And this is not to slam people, because it's individuals that do bad things. It's not religions that do bad things. It's not guns that commit crimes. It's people that commit crimes. It's not like spoons that make you fat. It's like, like it's like it's a food that you're eating that makes you fat. But they're allowed to lie. They're allowed to take like things from other religions, because they believe that if you're not a true believer of Judaism or whatever, then you are an animal. You're considered to be like an animal, and you could be mistreated. You could be abused. You could be killed. You can have your stuff taken away from you. People believe that they're entitled to it because like they're the true believers of the true religion and have true and they're the true descendants of the good lineages, that they have like the best bloodlines and stuff like that. So there's still like a level of superiority, and I've shared this before, but I'll share it again. I will present. Like even with Bohemian Grove.
When French Freemason Pierre L'Enfant designed the layout of Washington, D.C., he placed occult symbols everywhere. The most impressive of these directly relates to the
So Bohemian Grove is a place that, and Bilderberg and Davos is a place where people go that are in the billionaire club, that their belief systems and the people that they work in and around, they don't, like they're not following like they're from all different walks of life, and they're all together because this is a class war, like I've said. So like if you're in the multi-millionaire / billionaire club, and you're part of these friggin' groups, that think that they're superior to us because like they've inherited wealth and all this stuff, and they do these weird friggin' things in these weird places. So they're not only talking shop with their friends and family and their networks and stuff like that, and then building even more wealth, profiting off us with like this military pharmaceutical industrial complex. But they're also, when they go to Bohemian Grove, and there's been multiple people that have tried to get in, and people have gone missing, and people get arrested and stuff like that. But there's people that have actually been able to go in, whether they were allowed to or not, and they just made it look like it was a surprise like the jury's out because like Alex Jones and Eric Dubay, who knows if their level of involvement with all this. But Alex Jones is controlled opposition. I've already shared that in other videos, and how he also enabled all the acting and scripts to be carried out within the January 6th Capitol riot, and so many other things. But so like what also go actually no, Eric Dubay will explain it.
Bohemian Grove Society. When seen from an aerial view, the U.S. Congress building, surrounding roads, trees, and structures, clearly formed the picture of an owl.
And also with the owl representation, it's a occult, it's wisdom and stuff like that, but it's also toroidal fields. So this being a multidimensional electromagnetic cosmos reality, like the toroidal fields that, like, and I've also showed this in previous videos, but the toroidal fields that are created with the hyperboloids, this looks like they look like owl eyes. I've said this for like the longest time ever, and I love owls.
Sitting atop a pyramid. The same owl appears on the National Press Club logo, the Congress building itself, and the upper right-hand corner of every US dollar bill. What does this owl symbolize, and why is it hidden in our architecture and currency? David Icke wrote, "The roads within the grounds of the Congress building make the very clear symbol of an owl. You also find that the owl is sitting on a pyramid, the pyramid and all-seeing owl. The collective word for owls is a parliament of owls, which is uncannily appropriate. The same owl symbol can be found hidden on the dollar bill if you know where to look and have a very powerful magnifying glass. I also understand a new pedestrianization scheme around Nelson's Column in Trafalgar Square, London, is going to look like an owl from above. There is a sexual playground for leading American and foreign politicians, mobsters, bankers, businessmen, top entertainers, etc., who are initiates of the Babylonian Brotherhood. It is called Bohemian Grove, 75 miles north of San Francisco in California, near the hamlet of Monte Rio, alongside the Russian River in Sonoma County. I went to the area in 1997 to have a look around, and when I told the hotel receptionist where I was going, she warned me to be very careful, because some people who had been to investigate had never been seen again. Bohemian Grove is a 2,700-acre forest retreat for the elite. Every July since 1873, hundreds, now thousands of top politicians, bankers, businessmen, and media personalities gather at the Grove for 2 weeks of events, ranging from the expected, such as meetings, speeches, and lectures, to the very unexpected, like drunken mass orgies and mock human sacrifice rituals affront a 40-foot-tall statue of a Babylonian owl god. Such craziness was often discounted as hearsay by naysayers, that is, until author and filmmaker Alex Jones infiltrated the Grove in 2000 and shot clear video footage of the cremation of care ritual in his film Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove. Alex Jones said, "At this point, I should digress and go back and say that as we were walking into the Grove, we actually came within about 10 yards of the 40-foot stone owl that sits to the north side of the small lake. We were only about 7 yards away from the black altar that sits at the base of the owl. So already at this point, we had proven that the rumors were true. Yes, there is a giant stone owl. Yes, there is an altar. So I was there witnessing something right out of the medieval painter Hieronymus Bosch's vision of hell. Burning metal crosses, priests in red and black robes, with the high priest in a silver robe with a red cape, a burning body screaming in pain, a giant stone great-horned owl, world leaders, bankers, media, and the head of academia engaged in these activities. It was total insanity. Besides the occult ceremonies and sexual promiscuities, policy speeches are regularly given by members and guests as well. They even boast that the Manhattan Project was conceived at Bohemian Grove. Edward Teller, the father of the H-bomb, and Glenn Seaborg, who developed plutonium, were both Grovers. Other past and regular attendees include George Bush Sr. and Jr., Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon, Jimmy Carter, Gerald Ford, Dwight Eisenhower, Lyndon Johnson, Herbert Hoover, Robert and Joseph Kennedy, David Lawrence and Nelson Rockefeller, Dick Cheney, Al Gore, Dan Quayle, Colin Powell, Henry Kissinger, Donald Rumsfeld, Newt Gingrich, Alan Greenspan, David Gergen, George Shultz, William Casey, William F. Buckley, Robert Novak, Ray Kroc, Prince Bandar bin Abdul Aziz, Mikhail Gorbachev, James Woolsey, Earl Warren, Walter Cronkite, William Randolph Hearst, Andrew Knight, Burt Bacharach, Bing Crosby, and Bob Hope, just to scratch the surface. Jordan Maxwell wrote, "Now I have to ask you, what are ex-presidents of the United States, such as Jimmy Carter, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, and George Bush, doing there? These are all living presidents, standing there in unison, the whole line of them, in uniforms, looking like KKK members in front of a great bonfire, worshipping an owl. The last 2 weeks of July of every year, a secret meeting is held in our country, in Northern California, by the world's most powerful people. Bankers, politicians, industrialists, entertainment luminaries, a huge composite of croissant world figures. This group is directly linked with the European ruling elites and is commonly known as the Bohemian Society. Our now famous Council on Foreign Relations, the government...
Just take a look at this stuff. Like, there's a lot out there on Bohemian Grove and Bilderberg and Davos and stuff like that. So I don't want to like take up too much of your time, because if you're on this channel to begin with, this is something that you've likely known for many years anyways. And so I'm just going to go back to Lex Fridman talking to Palestinians, because I think that's also important. Even though I've said like the people that were like in charge of these terrorist attacks, I believe that there was involvement from people within the Israeli government as well as the American government and others as well. And so the hypocrisy and all the casualties that they've already inflicted within Gaza and other areas, and the more oppression and harming of the of innocent civilians in these locations, this is the retaliation that like certain groups wanted. And I've already talked about the Lavoy. Actually, maybe I will share it with you. Is it shown? Let me see. Let me share the Lavoy affair. I don't know if you see it. I feel like I've already talked about this. Did I say Lavoy? I'm so sorry. Levon affair. Just gonna check to see if it's, yes, you see it. Okay. No. Where is it again? Levon affair. A failed Israeli covert operation codenamed Operation Susanna, conducted in Egypt in the summer of 1954 as part of a false flag operation. There's a lot of false flag operations going on. A group of Egyptian Jews were recruited by Israeli military intelligence, the Mossad, to plant bombs inside Egyptians, American, and British-owned civilian targets, cinemas, libraries, and American educational centers. The bombs were timed to detonate several hours after closing time. The attacks were to be blamed on the Muslim Brotherhood, Egyptian communists, unspecified malcontents, or local nationalists, with the aim of creating a climate of sufficient violence and instability to induce the British government to retain its occupying troops in Egypt's Suez Canal zone. The operation caused no casualties among the population, but led to the deaths of 4 operatives, 2 cell members who committed suicide after being captured, committed suicide. But anyway, there's more here. So like, don't think that this hasn't continued to happen, because I've already shared also like on my social media as well within my networks on Signal and Telegram and even LinkedIn and stuff like that. But even Ben Shapiro like lied. Netanyahu, the friggin' leader of Israel, also lied. And even with the beheadings of the kids, and even within like the U.S., there's people that were in Senate on the friggin' record lying about atrocities that were committed. Ukraine just friggin' did it. People got fired because of it, and now also within Israel, there's people friggin' lying. There's crisis actors. I've shared the crisis actors. I'm not saying that there wasn't attacks committed at all. Like, that's not what I'm saying, and I'll reiterate that. And it's awful. And anyone who committed these fucking acts, they deserve what they get. You know what I mean? As someone that was part of JTF2, which is a counter-terrorist unit, I'll say it again, and someone who was an infantry officer, I literally went to school to go to know about terrorists and be a counter fucking terrorist, ladies and gentlemen, which is why I'm also sharing this information to people, because the people within my networks don't want to, they're not as familiar with this stuff, and they're allowing ego and misinformation to get in the way of actually getting the reality out there, so that we're not getting ourselves involved in wars that we have no business being into. So people that are elitists, that are I shouldn't say that word because it sounds conspiratorial, but the people that are heads and leaders of large institutions, organizations, corporations, and also unfortunately within key positions within government, these are the people that are exploiting like societies, our empathy, our sense of community, our sense of like of wanting there to be, you know, justice against those who commit injustices and stuff like this. And it's disgusting that these people get away with doing this stuff time and time again. Like I literally friggin' given so much fucking proof now. I'm sorry for swearing. And we need to stop doing this, and we need to stop duping ourselves into believing that we anyways, I keep on going on. That we know everything about everything.
I'm a 3rd generation. My grandfather first lived in 1948.
What does it mean to be First of all, how long have you lived here?
My father was 2nd generation refugee. I'm a 3rd generation. My grandfather first lived in 1948.
What does it mean to be a refugee?
refugee, that's a long story. Palestinians that became refugees in 1948 when they lost their homeland. They became refugees. A lot of them live in Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and everywhere in Palestine. Palestinians get divided: West Bank, Gaza, East Jerusalem, Jordan Valley.
Do you have hope for peace in the region?
Of course, I do have hope because nothing lasts forever. You know what that means? Nothing lasts forever. We are not alone. We have a lot of solidarity from the Jewish community, from the Christian community, from the whole world. But something to do with the governments and politicians. They are, trying to control over one state, equal rights, equal system. Because Jews, Christians, and Muslims, they have always lived together during the British Mandate, during the Ottoman time, for decades. The only hope for people to live peacefully together, it's related to one word, which is occupation. If the occupation ends, there's no reason for Bosnians to fight. There's no reason for Bosnians to throw rockets. But people, I think they have a legitimate right to resist. Palestinian people in general, they're nice people, not what the media says about us. It's crazy. When you resist, they call you a terrorist. It's a crazy world that we live in. We are in the 21st century and we're still occupied. So one day, that's why, again, I started saying...
Nothing lasts forever.
Exactly. Eventually, this occupation will end. And I do believe that history is repeating itself, but it seems to me people, they didn't learn from the history, right? People who get the power, they want to just keep going on.
Like, I try to put that into context too, with because it's been hundreds of years that certain people have lived in these regions. So like their family's family down the line, like he's saying. And in cases for hundreds of years. So like there are people that, like even within my family lineage that have lived in Canada for hundreds of years, and it's like our country and or even like our province, for example, just to give, because it's a big country, it's as if it was like all of a sudden people that had allegedly lived here 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago or 3,000, you know what I mean, literally thousands of years ago, that they are now implanted without any say of anyone that's living here now, our generations, with our families' acres, or our like whatever, like not like we have no rights to any of it. Now we're Canadians, but we're considered refugees in our own country, okay? And then we own only in order, because there's nowhere else to put us. Like where else can we go? No one else wants to take us, for example. Like this is all, again, I'm giving you an example of what went on here. So not only do other people not want to take these people, but they also don't want to leave because like they don't know anything else. And again, this has been like generations of their family living in these areas, and so like only owning only being able to like move around in like 23% of like the area that you once had like within like that area, right? So like I guess Canada would be a better example than just a province, like Canada as a whole. Like if we only were able to like have and it's sort of like what has also been done with current Indigenous people within Canada as well, right? Where they're classified as being in reserves. They're within areas within Canada that like that were given to them in agreements, and the land is like not like it's not the friggin' best land. And in a lot of cases, and you make do with what you have, but it's a colder climate. It's like it's more austere, it's more remote, and like that's also there's pros and cons to that as well. And but also, yeah, I'm going on these tangents, but we wouldn't want that to happen to us, right? And so like, what you allow to happen in other places, you allow to happen to you. And this is why, like I even say with censorship, like there's a lot of things that I think like people shouldn't come out of their friggin' mouths, you know what I mean? Like sometimes even me, but I'm coming from a good place. But like when people are actively like unknowingly deceiving people or eliciting emotional responses in people because there's an agenda behind it, like even though I know that, it's I don't think there's room for censorship, and there's also laws in place that should be enforced against like threatening people, like to varying, like you know what I mean, and or like hate crimes, for example, as well, and or even in some countries, if you deny the Holocaust, like that's also like criminal, and yeah. Anyway, so the other examples of things, but anyway, sorry.
But at least we are not alone in this damn world.
How long have you lived here?
I lived in this city. I born in this city since I born until now. I grew up in this town.
There are a lot of people that have anger towards Israel, hate towards Israel.
I will give you an example. Like if someone come to fight your family and to enter your home, you will stand closing your hand. If someone killed your brother, killed your father, you will be easy. You will be as super crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This is what's happened for Palestinian. A lot of Palestinian was killed for no reason.
What gives you hope?
about the future
Listen,
here?
I will tell you something. The situation is getting worse and worse and worse. Today they close all over around Bethlehem because there's something happened. There's a fight between Palestine and Israel. And if you go all over around the city, all the entrance of the city, it's a close. Second thing, I want to tell you something. I don't like politics so much because, in the end, we are all human. Doesn't matter if you are Palestinian or Israeli or Russian or American. Doesn't matter what your religious, Christian, Muslim, you. In the end, we are all human. What we want just peace. We want to live in peace. We don't want any more fight. We want to have our freedom to travel, to go wherever we want. And that's it.
Palestinian scarf.
Speak to me.
It looks good. What's tell us about the coffee?
I make very good coffee and very good tea.
Uh-huh.
I make the tea with mint, cinnamon, sage, thyme, ginger, coriander, rosemary, lemon, 2 seeds of cardamom, and rose. This is for me.
This is for his job.
This is very good for working in the night. You know what does it mean?
Yes, I know what it is.
King of the jungle.
So that was just to give another perspective, and we'll give another one. Make sure my cat doesn't knock things over. Is it this one? Maybe. Sorry, I gotta look at the video. My freaking history. Bear with me. Where did I go? Okay, well, I'll share this one. I don't know if I did or not.
This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth. Today is Friday, October 13th, 2023, a day where a former Hamas leader has called for a global day of jihad to take place on this day. Of course, if you've been watching Press for Truth, you'll be aware of this. If you caught my video from yesterday.
So quite a few days ago. No, I can't find it. Okay, so I will stop talking about that. I think I've covered like the major points. And so I will get on with more stuff that's controversial, especially within Ottawa, Canada. And it's Rebel News, and they're pretty good. And with what's going on with Helen Bruce, she's gone viral now, which is amazing. I'm really, really happy about that. And because she had open hearings for her court case with because Ottawa Police Services, like people within her chain of command, I've talked about this so many times, like they try to destroy her, and which is awful. And finally, it seems like she's getting vindication. So like this is stuff that like there's been more information put out there. There was a lot of like misinformation that was thrown out on the media once she started getting more exposure to try to paint her as someone that she was not. And I can fully understand because I'm going through the exact same stuff. And but now like there's more and more more mainstream media outlets that are getting their that this is getting their attention, and so they're reaching out apparently, and to her obviously, and people within her team, and yeah, so hopefully this is something where she gets like international recognition because she is a hero, and Rebel News like out of like I was there too, like in support of her because this is something that was it was an open trial, so you were not able to record or have any devices, so I wasn't able to record any of it, and but I was there obviously to support her, and the only journalists that were there was from Rebel News, and I was there. I feel like I'm an independent analyst, and I'm only doing this until I get back into the work that I was doing, teaching standing rapid deployment team courses and friggin' hostile environment awareness training to the higher levels of government, and letting them be aware of like what they've been fucking missing out on in the last 3 years. but Rebel News was there, and what is his name? Ex-RCMP sniper. oh, I forget his name, but anyway, he was there as well, and yeah, and that was it.
National expert panel is calling for an immediate halt to the use of the novel COVID-19 mRNA injections after they discussed in length the scientific evidence of cancer-promoting DNA contamination within both Pfizer and Moderna vials, potentially prompting a series of suspected repercussions that could impact human cell lines for up to 2 generations.
And this is very concerning. So this can pass on to 2 generations in this manner.
Oh.
And it's something that most definitely must be looked at along with the actual integration of the DNA itself.
It has been more than 6 months since your last dose of COVID-19 vaccine or your last infection. Your protection from the virus may have waned. Receiving a COVID-19 vaccine dose this fall with an updated formulation is expected to increase individual protection against infection, symptoms, and severe disease.
Over the last year plus, I have brought you various reports underscoring the vast unknowns and the downplaying of risks associated with the novel COVID-19 mRNA injections. Most recently, internationally renowned experts in the fields of immunology, genetics, research sciences, and general practitioners called for an immediate moratorium on the use of novel genetic vaccines, according to a press release issued by the World Council for Health, who hosted the panel. The WCH, in their dedication to health and well-being based on real and true informed consent, hosted a 4-hour-long expert panel on Monday, October the 9th, to discuss the discovery of DNA impurities and the undisclosed presence of a genetic sequence contamination known as the SV40 promoter found within vials of both the Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 mRNA injections. These shocking discoveries were first documented by genomics expert Kevin McKernan, whose work has since been confirmed and replicated by several international labs.
It is not the full SV40 virus that was seen in the polio vaccines many years ago. However, there is still concern that if this DNA is at high levels inside these vaccines, that promoter could integrate into the genome, and if it integrates in front of an oncogene, then it could promote the expression of an oncogene, let's say. So there's concern of injecting people with high amounts of these SV40 promoters, because if there's any amount of genome integration that occurs, then there's a risk that it will be promoting the expression of genes inappropriately in the genome.
There is no constructive purpose identified for the undeclared SV40 promoter sequence, reads an emailed press release from the WCH. In addition to its cancer risk, SV40 enhances the capacity to incorporate the other foreign genetic material into the recipient's own chromosomes, potentially rendering them and possibly even their offspring permanently genetically modified. Toxicologist and molecular biologist Jancy Lindsay stated that this could result in intergenerational effects for up to 2 generations.
My very large concern that these gene therapies will be passed on to our progeny and will contaminate the gene pool. And this is not being investigated at all. Not a single person has investigated sperm or ova to see if these are being genetically integrated. And I have reached out to multiple labs asking them if they would investigate this. We have an in vitro lab that is willing to work with anyone who is willing to test both sperm and ova for integration. Genomic integration could result in cancers rather than just functional integration. In fact, it's unlikely that we will have functional integration into the genome, creating a spike protein, but more likely that you'll have insertional mutagenesis leading to cancer. But there is another mechanism which you can pass on functionally expressed spike protein, and that would be through this extra chromosomal DNA or RNA through sperm-mediated gene transfer. So both of these mechanisms could result in a constitutive expression of the spike protein in some or all cells of the progeny, depending on the way it's inherited. but again, less likely through actual integration into the genome, more likely through this mechanism called sperm-mediated gene transfer. So this is a picture of some sperm that have been transfected with exosomes carrying DNA, and this is courtesy of Dr. Corrado Spadafora, who really was the first to show that sperm-mediated gene transfer was occurring. Through this mechanism, we could be passing on these genetic elements to our children. Sperm-mediated gene transfer shows that it is not required to have stable integration into the genome in order to pass on low copy number, chimeric expression of extra chromosomal DNA expression, and this is very concerning. So this can pass on to 2 generations in this manner, and it's something that most definitely must be looked at along with the actual integration of the DNA itself.
Stressing the importance of informed consent, the release says that it was impossible as the risks of the products have never been formally and transparently addressed by regulators and are not fully known. The failed COVID-19 vaccine campaign has been a biological disaster for the world. Cardiologist Dr. Peter McCullough, who is also the scientific advisor to the WCH, told the panel. With independent assessments such as the above now taking place, dangerous implications discussed by this panel included disease, death, transmission, and intergenerational inheritance. The organization is calling for an immediate halt to the continued use of these novel mRNA products for that very reason. And meanwhile, Canada's regulatory agency continues to endorse the mRNA injections for all Canadians aged 6 months and up. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini.
With today's authorization, NACI is reaffirming its guidance on the use of COVID-19 vaccines this fall. NACI recommends authorized age groups get an updated COVID-19 vaccine dose this fall, 6 months after the last vaccine dose or infection. We will have enough supply of the updated COVID-19 vaccines to support immunization programs across Canada.
Dominic LeBlanc, Don Baird, Justin Trudeau, like these people are still not being held. Wayne Eyre, Brenda Lucky, people need to remember these names and fire these people, and or hold them accountable and start investigating them further, because and again, if people need further proof, contact me, or look at the information that I've already shared. Like I have medical, scientific, and government data that would put these people behind bars, and I don't care to say it, or that at a very minimum they should be investigated, and oh my God, and then measures put into place for these warnings to not go unheeded after this. Blows my mind. And again, I have sent this information to mayors, to district leaders, to all levels of cabinet, to heads of all parties, people within all parties, to media, to health experts, to again, even colleagues and peers who are working in and around these networks and still do internationally, and people were not looking at this information and were instead isolating, outcasting, ghosting, or in fact considering me the enemy, or ignorant, or a pseudoscientist. And anyway, so there's more stuff coming out, and which is why there's more censorship within Canada. I'm really hoping that people share, and subscribe, because the more my videos go viral within Canada, because again, it's like the allegories are working against me. The censorship teams are working literally against me. Again, I've had so many accounts deleted and downgraded and hidden from views, and warnings put on my freaking videos and stuff like that. I need people's help just to get this information out, just so more change can be made, or at least more of this stuff can be considered on wider platforms. I've reached out to Sean Ryan as well, another example, and other people have as well, and have let me know that they have. And so these are the ways to try to get around this stuff. And I'm really hoping that at some point this stuff turns around. And on that note, I will leave it at that, just because I do want to get to the gym before anyone else gets there or gets too packed. And I know it's early for most people, but I was also up at 4 a.m. to do a lot of stuff, and then I also get this video out, right? And so we'll leave it at that, and I hope that everyone has a